Recently, I was asked when I was getting ready to go speak at a church, hey, do you have something to say? Almost as like, what you preaching on, but like, is it anything good? And for those of you that don't know me, I sling a hammer for a living. I'm just a construction guy, but I get to volunteer teach for some of my friends and my pastors just to help out in the region because of my pastoring and church planting days. But I make my living in construction. But this idea I wrestle with all the time. I'm not really sure. And this morning, as I got up early and I was thinking about my friends locally and praying for some of my buddies and pastors and people that I've worked with before, I watched this interview of a theologian. He's in his 80s, I forget his name, mid 80s. And he was asked by this young interviewer, he was like, how do you finish well? And this guy goes into a story about how he had another friend that was also a theologian, professor, debater. He called him a great orator of the scriptures. And they made this deal that whoever would die first, the other one would do the memorial service. And unfortunately, or if you will, he says that his younger friend dies much sooner than they thought. And so he calls up his younger friend as he's on his deathbed and say, how would you like this to go down? What would you like for me to say about you or tell the people? And the man paused just briefly over the phone, having already talked about there was going to be a lot of pastors and leaders and just individuals and people he cared about, but everybody had something to contribute, something to say to others. He paused for a minute and he said, tell them this. He said, if they would open the Bible and plant their faces in the scriptures and then wait on the Lord. And when the Lord or God reveals his face, then they might have something to say. I don't know about you, but man, that just kind of wrecked me. It's just like there's so many apps and tools and conferences and books and all these different things that can help you and techniques on how to speak. But there's nothing like knowing that there's somebody that's grabbed a hold of this and they're looking for answers, they're looking for solutions, they're looking for wisdom, and they would just plant their face in this. And if they could see and hear God reveal himself, then we might have answers. Then we might have something to say. And so much of our life is driven by the social media and by the news trying to cause us to say what we need to say as opposed to this. And this passage in Hebrews is what I thought about when he said that. In Hebrews 4:12 it says, for the word of God is living and active. It's sharper than a two-edged sword, piercing in the division of the soul and the spirit. It's able to divide joint and marrow. It's able to discern the thoughts versus the heart's intentions. And it's just this idea that the word of God opened and rightly divided. And, so the next time somebody comes up to me as I get ready to speak, I don't know if I have something to say, but if I know that if I find myself in this, even for my kids and my grandbabies and for my wife, I would just plant myself in this. And if God would reveal himself, I might have something to say.